Nick Sandmann, the smiling target of the infamous Covington smear, is suing the Washington Post for $250 million for leading the media mob. Can't say I blame him, because the story isn't about Covington, but those who covered it, not to mention all the money they made off that smear. This case, along with Kavanaugh and Smollett and 100 others, need to be a journalism course, one that reveals how echo chamber media gins up outrage, protects narratives, and steers social media into a frenzy. We blame Twitter, but Twitter's just the wall the media throws stuff at to see what sticks. If it sticks, you make a lot of money or use it to build the reputations of some left-wing hacks. Nick's lawsuit means that in the future, some dope can't brag to the Pulitzer Committee that he broke the Covington story. Remember the Clarence Thomas hearings and how that turned many liberals like Andrew Breitbart into fire-breathing conservatives? Sometimes a show trial reveals more than you think. Feinstein traded her reputation for a shot at Kavanaugh. Since 2016, those epiphany moments like Covington have piled up. In mere months, we've seen 3 major media fails. There are others, but there's only one persistent culprit at the crime scene: the mainstream media. Journalists who are writing for other journalists, hoping to get a better job, a book deal, a prize, a minute on TV. And the motivating factor behind the machine? Conflict. Conflict leads to eyeballs, which leads to clicks, which leads to money. Yeah, the media made tons off Covington, so why shouldn't the kid get a piece of the action? After all, without poor Nick, some of us would have to work for a living. So, Jesse, I had the Brain Room do some research. Did you know that
That's my move.
Yes, I know.
That's my move. Don't go burning up the Brain Room, all right? They're busy with my stuff.
Did you know that the Washington Post digital ad revenue for 2017 was a solid 9 figures? That's over $100 million. So that's how they make it.
Yeah, hate sells.
Yeah,
hate and division sells.
Yes.
I did enjoy reading the Washington Post report about how the Washington Post is bad because they got sued. That was fun. I also don't think it matters whether they win this lawsuit. This is just a big blow to fake news, because right now every newsroom and all the executives, this is coming from the top down, they're telling the editors and the reporters, do not shoot first and ask questions later.
Yeah.
It's better to be late and right than first and wrong, because right now they're facing ruinous lawsuits. And it takes the penalty of a financial hit for them to change their behavior, because they're not policing themselves. You pointed out fake news is getting worse.
Yeah.
So the only thing to do is hold them account financially. And I like watching the media being held account, because they like to hold other people account.
Like us.
Like us. And they never, ever have to look inward. So this is a good thing.
I hate to blow things up for you, but I mean, you're so deep in the Trump bunker. Sometimes I think, I got to help Jesse out. And
well,
so let
if
me
I have
help
a
you
bunker,
out.
I'm not
let
letting
me
you
just
in.
tell you something. I hope I'm not in it, brother. I never want to get in that bunker.
All right,
because I'd be buried. Let me just tell you something. One, reporters, if opinion and somebody's opinion about Nick is now the subject of a lawsuit.
Not opinion.
Imagine what you would be up against, Jesse. You'd be in bed.
Yeah, with my smirk too. It probably
Jesse is never on Twitter. You're never on Twitter.
Doesn't matter.
No, but that's how it started.
You know what? But it wasn't the Washington Post. It wasn't NBC. It wasn't any media outlet. This was started by a website that was intending to somehow divide the American people and went at it.
But the Washington Post didn't do
media that you're going after today.
But the Washington Post, they have to do due diligence. They have to fact check. They have to check both sides, and they have to investigate. Read the lawsuit, Juan. They didn't call the other side. They didn't investigate the video. They kept on printing malicious smears of this guy about things that never happened. He never chanted anything derogatory. He never said build a wall. Never said anything racist, Juan.
You know what? You are deep into a political tribal argument. The fact is here, this is a juvenile lawsuit. It should be dismissed. Well, it's really an insult. But I will say this. It's part of an attack on the press that we are seeing.
Yeah, anytime you criticize the press,
give me a shot.
You can't be criticized.
No, give me a shot. Because what do we see today? President Trump is saying the New York Times is the enemy of the people. Why? Because the New York Times did a story that said he asked the acting attorney general to appoint his friend
Can we stick to the story?
The Cohen probe. That's what's going on here.
Emily's a lawyer. Emily, tell me about what you think this case 250 million too much or not enough?
Well, the reason that they are seeking $250 million is because that's the amount that Bezos purchased the Washington Post for in 2013. So I liked that homage. I will say, Juan, to your point just now, that I think that's exactly the, unfortunately, invalid argument that is being made, which is pointing to the president's rhetoric in defense of this. That's exactly the point the lawsuit makes. And to answer your question...
Yes.
Wait, explain what you just said.
What matters, or the heart of the lawsuit, is whether WAPO negligently published this information in reckless disregard of the actual truth, or do they actually have malice, right? And that's if he's a private...
How do you prove that? How do you prove that?
The fact that, for example, in the lawsuit, it details that there were 7 articles and 3 tweets, and it listed all of the headlines, and it listed the 13 million followers on Twitter, that amplification process is what is reasonably foreseeable. And that lawsuit is basically saying, look, you know, maybe in the first time, if you repeat a headline, that's one thing. But there were multiple things where you were characterizing this minor child at the time in an extremely derogatory way, and it wasn't a fact reporting, and it wasn't an opinion reporting.
He had, in fact,
no, they made him the news.
Emily, he attended a March for Life rally. He was in a public place at the Lincoln Memorial. He was engaged in the expression of his opinions and his position.
But it doesn't render him a public figure automatically.
In addition to which,
and it doesn't speak to their characteristics.
Before we go to break,
they're not just going after the Washington Post. They're going after CNN. They're going after NBC. And they've got a ton of celebrities.
Dana, how are you?
I'm good.
Good to see you.
I enjoy listening to the conversation. A couple things. I think that this lawsuit will probably be dismissed upon the first hearing and the first motion to dismiss. I think the judge probably rules that way. But are they making a good point? Yes. And it gets to a broader one, which we've talked about this before, which is when, for example, a media company, you said it's digital ad sales?
Yes.
So the other thing that they're getting out of that is your data, right? So what you're looking at, what you buy, what you want, what restaurants you're going to go to, all of that stuff.
So true.
And the question has been, should you get a piece of that? Like,
yes.
Do you own some of that? So then, a bigger picture point on this is, do you own your conflict?
Exactly. That is the genius moment of this show. If you are an object in this conflict, you're the actor.
Wait.
You deserve a role. You deserve a payment for the role.
Does that mean I have to pay people that were in Water's World?
Yes.
No.
That's the European view of it,
yes.
right? And that's where we conflict. It's that there, the agent, the actor owns the data, and here we don't. But I agree, and also that larger point that at what point do we hold accountable the media outlets that are literally, via the public mob, capitalizing on it and then ruining reputations forever?
Oh, so what do you do about Donald Trump today? He says, go get him, Nick. Because much like Greg and Jesse, he's cheering him on because he sees this as evidence that the media is after him.
I want to check. No, my whole thing has always been the same. I believe that this is a consensus media in which the profit model is conflict, and you got to put a check on it. And if this doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter if he gets the money. You just got to make them think. Only America wants is they just want the media to think before they shoot.
Where'd the tape come from, Greg? Where'd the tape come from?
What
it didn't come from mainstream media. It came
Washington
from
Post pushed this thing out.
They pushed it out. You guys in the mainstream media didn't edit it, Juan.
What?
You guys took some random BS. You took random BS and you spit it out there and put a bunch of lies in it. That's what you did.
I think conservative websites that spread conspiracy theories are far more prevalent than anything in mainstream media.
I look forward to that research coming before me.
That's not the point. The point is you guys blew it, and then you won't admit you blew it.
There you go.
All right.